Hey guys, Carcio 72 here, Adam, and I'm on my way this morning to an autocross with some of my son's buddies, and I've done a couple autocrosses before. I did 2 last year, and the first one I literally came in dead last. And then the second one I did, I kind of maybe figured out a little bit, and I immediately moved up to about halfway in the pack. You're talking about like 80, 90 people or something like that. So I'm hoping today I can make another improvement. Maybe I can get up into the top third or something. So anyway, what's autocross? It's a really popular I'll call it an entry-level motorsport, and I'm only saying that, I'm not trying to piss people off. Oh my God, autocross is life, it's racing. Autocross it's a competition, it's a parking lot time trial, and it's fun. And a lot of people really get into it. I'm saying entry level because you can just basically drive anything you want, so you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get into it. You can just take whatever you drive and just go do an autocross. So in that respect, it's entry level motorsport versus track use, which does require it's more money, it's more effort and time to prep the car and that kind of thing. So what is autocross? I call it parking lot time trial. So it's a time trial, so you're not racing anybody directly, you're racing the clock, and you're racing through a parking lot cone course, basically. So, and these parking lots are often really big event type parking lots, because the one I'm going to today is at, So, somebody in the left lane in a 65 going 45. Anyway, so, this had like a big drag race venue in Dinwiddie, Virginia. I'm in the Richmond area, so it's like a 30-minute drive. So it's in a big, wide open parking lot, and they put cones up. Woo, son. They put cones. Jesus. I don't know if I'll have to wait. All right, the sun angle at 7:20 in the morning going east is pretty bad here. So what I was saying is it's basically like a parking lot time trial. The club that runs it will set up a cone course that you drive through as fast as you can. It's usually under a minute. It might be 40, 50 seconds, something like that, 30, 40, 50, depending on the length of the course. And you get timed and you get ranked, and it's a competition like anything else. There's classing. And so the classing is kind of interesting. It's, the attempt is to, obviously my station wagon, even though it's got quite a bit of power, it's heavy, it's all-wheel drive, it's not going to handle as well as a Miata. So they don't really end up in the same class, which makes sense. But there's a lot of minutia to the classing, and people really like to argue about it. One little freaking bolt, oh, sorry, you're in the whatever class. So it's a little bit funny that way, but the classing kind of works. I'm in what they call XA. It's like extreme street. There's kind of like street, which would be like your stock car. Street touring, so stock car with some mods. And then this extreme street, which is kind of whatever you want kind of thing. And then there's all these subclasses, and it's really quite complicated. But the bottom line is, you show up. There's the way this club works. I've never done another club's autocross, but it's pretty simple. There's 3 heats. And you get a heat you're going to actually do your driving in. There's one where you don't do anything, and then there's one where you work, and that's another kind of interesting thing about autocross. So you pay your $35 or whatever, but you don't just drive, you actually have to work. And the work is basically standing around on the course to pick up the cones people hit, or some different things like that. It's really not that big of a deal, but there's a work component to it. And today it's going to be beautiful, like a high of 60. When it's 95 in the summer, yeah, standing in a hot parking lot for 45 minutes picking up cones sucks. But it's just kind of part of how autocross works. It keeps the cost down, so they don't have to go pay people to do it. If you look at this as just as a kind of dollar per minute, it's awful. I mean, it's really expensive if you look at it that way, because you're only getting, maybe 4 or 5 runs at less than a minute versus HPDE, where you might get, an hour and a half a day. And even though the HPDE might be $550, you're also driving like 2 or 3 hours. Oh, here comes the sun again. Pause. Okay, so we talked about having 3 heats, and so you drive one, work one, rest one. And so when you drive, what you do is you do all the driving at one time. So you go and you line up in these kind of in a queue or grid, and there might be 20 cars in your 30 cars in your heat, and you go do the course, and then you come back through the timing. The timing trailer is what they use, and you get your slip, kind of like a drag race. And then, okay, I got a whatever, or if you didn't use potential. If you go off if you don't follow the course, it's a DNF. If you hit a cone, you lose a second or whatever it is. But anyway, you come back through, get your slip, say you did, and then you go back in the exact same queue and do it again, and you do that 4 or 5 times. And I guess that'd take 30, 40 minutes at most, and then you're done. And then you've got your times. Then what you do is you might have your rest one, or you might go work one where you shag cones or do whatever. And that's basically how it works. And you can kind of wear whatever you want. You have to have a helmet. I just wear my open face helmet because the risk here, the safety risks are very low in autocross. You're not going that fast. I mean, you might get going 60 miles an hour or something. You're in a parking lot. And while there have been some accidents and things, it's really a pretty mundane, safe activity. And you are basically at the limit the whole time. So that's one big difference between autocross and track driving. Track driving, you're at the limit sometimes, but you're not at the limit on the back straight at VIR. You're just sitting there, resting, looking at your gauges. Here you're kind of, it's manic, You're trying to drive around as fast as you can at the limit to get your best time. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I've done it twice. I'm hoping third time's a charm and I do a little better. Okay, so my first 2 times I talked about how really I didn't do very well. The other issue was I only completed 1 out of the 4 or 5 runs without a DNF. I just could not get the course thing to work. And of course I did the dumb thing of trying to go full on the first run, which is stupid. You really should just throw it away and go slow so you can really see how it looks at kind of a moderate speed versus walking, and then you can increase your speed. So again, something fun to do. I had not much going on this weekend, so weather looked good. So I'm going to run down and do autocross. My son's friend is in front of me, and he's got a Miata with a giant wing on it and everything. So people get pretty into this, and I'll check back in on my way home this evening. It kind of goes all day, 8 to 4, and I'll tell you how I did. Hopefully I can at least place with more than one non-DNF run. That would be good and give me more of a chance at maybe doing okay. Oh, final comment. So we talked about how, you're kind of classed by the kind of car you have, basically. The timing is interesting. It's a little confusing and complicated when you first look at it. So the obvious, you're in a class. So I'm in XA, which is Extreme Street A. And there might be 5 cars in that class. So you're drill down. So at that level, you're going to, how did I do against other cars classed exactly like mine? Then you would say, okay, how did I do versus everybody? Now, the how did I do versus everybody, there's really 2 things you have. There's your raw time, which to me is the logical, makes sense to everybody time. You went through the course, you did it in 47.2 seconds, and your friend did it in 47.1 seconds, and he beat you. Okay, that makes sense to me. And then what they do is they line everybody up by raw time at the end, so 80 or 90 people, and that makes sense to me. Like, yes, I know that guy has a Corvette with a giant wing and all this crazy shit, but look, I mean, he was 3 seconds faster than me, and then in your head you can go, okay, 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. It's not that much of a difference. What they also do is they have something called PAX. I think it stands for Professional Autocross. PAX is what the lingo is. PAX is like a handicapped. They take your number, whatever your raw time was, your best raw time, they multiply it by a multiplier, which reduces it. And so they reduce your time, and then when you line up with everybody, supposedly that kind of takes into account all the mods, all the differences in the car. So the guy that got you by a raw time at 3 seconds in his Vet with a giant wing, maybe in the packs you beat him. I don't think that's possible, but in the packs you might be really, really close to him. Maybe you're only a half a second off, or again, maybe you beat him, and I don't know how the math works exactly. then you can say, but you know, if you factor in that I'm not in a Corvette, I'm actually a better driver than you. Kind of how it works. So, yeah, so there's the packs and the raw, and then they class you by these really defined classes, and you can look within that. So we'll see how I do. XA is called Extreme. It's like Extreme Street. It's cars like mine. Like, it's usually modded turbo, you know, cars. It could be the kid's Miata. It could be a Corvette. I think they actually class something. I think it's Extreme Street is the class, and then within it's like XA, XB, Cam. Cam is like the muscle cars and all this stuff, and they drill down. But I think in this club they lump all those into Extreme Street. So you still get a time, and you can see, hey, there were 5 in XA, and that's really what I care about, or whatever. So it's just, again, it's a time trial. It's fun, but it does take a whole day for about 3 or 4 minutes of driving. And so that's why I probably just only done a couple of these. It's just, it's a lot of time to me to spend to get not much driving, but you do get to hang out with people that are in the car. So, whatever. It's a good day. I'll check back in after. Bye. Okay, so it's just before 4, and I'm out. I probably could have been gone 40 minutes ago. I was just chit-chatting with people. So, Autocross today is my 3rd one, and I continue to suck, but my suckage is getting a little less every time. I mentioned before that, you know, the first time I was basically like dead last, DNF 4 out of 5. My second time I DNF'd 3 out of 4, but I was quicker. I actually was like about mid-pack in the raw times and the packs and all that stuff. This time, there were 5 runs, which is great, and the course was a little easier to follow for me. It didn't loop in on itself, so there's just less confusion for me to look at. I was able to follow the course fine. So out of 5 runs, I got 5, which is good. I did DNF 1. I spun out and completely screwed up, you know, which is fine. But so I got 4, only DNF 1. The difference this time was I hit some cones, which you might say, well, that's not good. You're not supposed to hit the cones, and you're right. But I hit 3 cones, which is new to me. I haven't hit cones before, which means I'm pushing harder and going faster. I don't know where I ended up. I don't think it was particularly great. Probably not even halfway this time. It was a pretty fast course, and I don't think I cracked 40. I didn't crack 40 seconds, which I think you needed to do to at least even be able to say you did okay. Yeah, it was interesting. I had a good time. I'm still struggling with like tunnel vision in front. So I'm staring and like reacting. Each cone is like a new thing to me. I'm like, oh, I have to go right, or oh, I have to go left, instead of looking all the way through and knowing what to do. I walked the course twice ahead of time with 2 different people. I don't really find that's that beneficial, because the people I'm walking with are being a little overly detailed for my level, which I don't give a shit about positioning. I just want to know where to go. So at this point, I probably should just tell people, appreciate it, and just go on my own. I took somebody for a ride along, a new person, which I kind of laughed at. A guy I know said, hey, can she ride with you? And I said, yeah, but I'm not very good at this. But we had fun. She was actually helpful. She was kind of left, right, you know, whatever. So we had a good time. Will I do more autocross? Yeah, I'd come do a couple of these a year. I can't imagine spending a ton of time with it. Maybe I'll try to do enough to get season rankings next year. I don't know. It's fun, but you do sit around a lot. I mean, I drove, so I did 5, 40-second runs, a couple minutes worth of driving, and I was there 8 hours at least. And I worked, fortunately, the club, Tidewater Sports Car Club, they showed mercy on me, and because I have a bad knee, I didn't have to go do the cones. I just did like security, which is stand at the front gate and make sure people coming in sign a waiver, which is nice. So, but I mean, yeah, you just sit around a lot. There were 4 heats, so it was, I sat 1, drove 2, sat 3, worked 4. It is what it is. It's $35 for a day to talk to people about cars and do some driving. It's cool. They put on a good autocross, the Tidewater group. I'd do a couple more maybe next year. We'll see. That's really it. It's a practice thing. 3 times I've done this. I'm gonna still suck. I tend to need a lot of practice to get good at stuff. So I'm not gonna be a wizard like some of my son's friends who do really well that I saw there. I mean, they're cleaning house, and I'm like, you know, spinning my car around. It was kind of cool out, or cold, so my tires, I don't think my tires ever got hot. So you know, you go out on the course the first time and they're cold, and they get a little heat in them, but not much when it's 55 degrees outside. So I never really got hot tires, and I don't have tires that are super sticky to start. They're kind of like track tires for endurance, to be able to go drive lap after lap. The autocross tires are typically like, they turn on immediately, and on the track they wouldn't be great for more than a lap or so, and then they'd be greasy. Then that's what the people that are good at this run, because again, you want grip initially instead of, you're just never going to build grip in tires like this. So car does fine. I don't really have any issues with my car. It handles great. I just knowing, being more predictive at where to go and placing myself in better locations for the next series of turns will allow me to go faster. So anyway, that's Autocross, my take. Parking lot time trial. It's fun. People get super into it and competitive. I'm never going to be like that, but I can understand why they do that. I just want to go have some fun, and yeah, it's a good group. And again, I'll do a few next year maybe and see if I can't continue to improve my game. It's definitely would be good for younger people to do that are just starting to drive, because it allows you to really get the car out of sorts and correct it, which is probably more applicable for daily driving than going 120 miles around a track, which miles an hour. You're never going to do that, you know, in real life, or you shouldn't on the street. So autocross would be good for maybe my sons my son that's going to be start driving next year. Maybe I'll get him into it, get him a car that would be able to be used for this. Anyway, that's it. Peace.
Car number 38, XA.
All right.
All right, brother, on you.
Super cold. Yeah, this one's tough.
Around here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice job. You didn't DNF.
I didn't fuck up.
Let me know.
I got a buck.
Car number 38.
Out, in, out, brake. Okay.
On you.
Was better. I hit a cone, but that's okay. That's all right.